Well, hello, team, and welcome to session 4 of the Business Basics Bootcamp, your first 90 days inside network marketing. And thank you so much for joining me. And I'm just on behalf of myself and Sammy G, we are just absolutely excited. And we want to take a minute just to congratulate you for getting this far, for putting in the action, for doing what is necessary to build a network marketing business from home around your family, around your life, around your jobs, around all the other things. You've made it to session 4. So hopefully, before we start into this one, let me just check in and just make sure that you are doing the work. You are doing the homework. You are out there creating those vision boards, creating the mindset, practicing the mindset shift, practicing all the different things that we have been discussing here, being able to connect with your support hub, being able to have accountability partners around you, doing the work of the you shared, they shared, learning the compensation plan, learning how to help people get paid, having the tough conversations, getting out in front of your networks, getting out in front of more people, connecting with them on all different platforms, whether it be social media, messenger, phone, in person, email, whatever it takes, you are doing the work necessary to create change in your life. And so Sammy and I, like I said, are just so excited for each and every one of you to jump in, to do the work, and to create the results that you ultimately want and deserve inside of this business. So this session is all about developing your story. Developing your story. It is a known fact. And the $1 million tip, it is a known fact that the most powerful tool you will ever use in your network marketing business will be your own story. Now, the story can be of struggle. Your story can involve success. Your story can involve starting in one area, being completely ignorant to something, and showing the journey of how you got to where you want to go or where you're going. So many people get stuck in the story. They get stuck in the stories that they tell themselves. They never get anywhere. And so this, being able to verbalize, being able to share your story with more people will have greater impact, will have greater results, and you will build a successful business by using and applying your story. So why stories? Why stories? Think back to how we learnt. Think back to how we involved our imagination. Think back to how we train and we teach and we educate our kids. Stories sell. Stories sell. That's how we grow up. That's how we learn. That's how our brain takes the information and applies it to the story. We put ourselves in the picture of what you're talking about. So here's why stories are. Just a quick overview. Your story is one of your most valuable assets, if not the most valuable asset. Humans understand experiences and information in relationship to stories. And even then, get this, even when we don't have a story provided, we create one. We create a story out of the information that we receive. And your story should allow your customer to relate to you. And again, we're going to talk a lot about influencing people. We're going to talk about how to persuade people and not ethically persuade, okay? So not crazy, pushy, salesy sort of thing, but persuading people to take action. That ultimately gets you the results. Your story should touch on key emotional experiences, which we're going to jump into. We're going to give you a framework today on building your story, on being able to apply the information, be able to turn it into a story so that you can captivate, that you can relate to your audience. So the human mind tends to think in stories. So just pure information without stories, examples, and application tends to roll off and not stick. So you put yourself in that classroom for a second. And you imagine the teacher is at the front and they are just throwing heavy data at you. They've got graphs and tables and they've got all this information that they want you to take in. And they're throwing all this information at you and eventually you just switch off. You just become, you're in the room, but you are in a trance. You're staring out the window. You're staring at the whiteboard or the screen or whatever you're watching. You're hearing the information, but it's not sinking in. Imagine if that teacher came into that room and said, "Okay, class, before we begin, let me share a story. Let me begin by telling you what just happened. All right, I have something that I want to share with you, and it's amazing, and it'll captivate you." And they begin by telling you stories of how that information got to where it was. You are going to be listening. You are going to be able to relate. You're going to be going, "Well, I can imagine myself in that scenario. I can imagine myself in that scene." And that's exactly why, as network marketers, we need to harness the power of these stories. When you begin to tell a story, the person listening goes into what we call an open relaxation mode. The defenses come down. They begin picturing what you're telling them. Have you ever tried to just launch at someone with your products, with your programs, with all the data that comes with what your opportunity represents, and people just like shut down? They're just like, nah, they are not having a bar of it. But if you start with a story, their defenses come down. And so many people are like trying to handle objections. They're trying to handle all this stuff, all this information that clouds people's visions. The best way to do that, to cut through that, is through stories. Your story is an excellent way to build credibility and trust with your prospect, which are both critical to persuading them to take action and buy what you're selling. Let's read that again. Your story is an excellent way to build credibility, know, like, and trust with your prospect, which are both critical to persuading them to take action and buy what you're selling. Stories sell. No word of a lie. It's scientifically proven that stories sell. And if you're wanting to build credibility in front of your networks, if you're wanting to build trust, if you're wanting people to know, like, and trust you, because at the end of the day, that's who we're going to do business with. If you're trying to create rapport, if you're trying to create influence, if you're trying to get people to see the vision for themselves, it is hidden in a story. When creating your story, incorporate elements that your prospect can relate to directly. The more, get this again, the more your story matches the reality, experience, and world of your prospect, the more impact it will have. You need to know who your customer is. You need to understand, prior to having the conversation, who they are, what their reality is, what their struggles are, what they're going through right at this moment in time, and then you match your story accordingly. The more that the person can relate to that story, and relating is them seeing themselves in the picture that you are painting. If you can do that, and when you do that, people will be enrolled in the possibility of seeing change for themselves. So the key elements to story success, we talked about the emotional attachments, those key elements that you need to touch on inside the story. This is how it looks. This is the framework. We're going to give you the framework, and then we're going to let you play it out. We're going to let you discover it for yourself. The key elements to story success. Number 1, start in the same situation as the customer. Number 2, tried and failed. Number 3, the breakthrough. Number 4, followed the system. Number 5, others did it too. Number 6, you can succeed. They are the elements that make up the story, or what we call the conversion story. In marketing, in building a business, you have to understand that the conversion story is what matters. Not all other great stories, but the conversion story. The one that will convert people to from skeptic to believer, from a suspect to a prospect, from a prospect to a customer, from a customer to an associate to the business partner. Stories. So let's look at this. Let's dive in a little bit deeper. So your starting situation. Where were you when you first started? I was a small business owner. I was a struggling corporate professional. I was burnt out. I was a stay-at-home mum. I was a pro athlete. Where were you? What were you doing? Tell us then your next is tried and failed. Vivid, emotional story of trialing and failing. What were you trying to achieve or succeed at? What was going on for you in your life? This part right here, you spend most of your time on. Tried and failed, tried and failed, tried many things, failed, tried many things, got up, got down. Because people want to hear that in their story. They're not thinking of all the freedom and all the, the riches that they're going to win and get. They are thinking about their current reality. And their current reality is one of struggle, is one of hardship, is one of not knowing, is one of frustration, fear. You don't go to bed at night and think of all the things that you love and, you're like, oh my gosh, I just can't wait for my car that I'm going to buy and it's going to be amazing and I could see myself in it. You're thinking about stress. You're thinking about all the things that you haven't done, that you haven't completed, all the things that you're going to add to your checklist tomorrow, all the things that you're fearful of, all the things that you're trying, that keep you up and awake at night. You need to tap into this relative to your customer. Understanding this before you get going is going to be essential to your success. What was the breakthrough? We discovered the secret to success. Then one day I met with a friend who basically shared with me this insight or this information or this person, or you woke up one day and said, that's enough, or you woke up one day and your car blew up, or you woke up one day and something happened. Something happened that made you wake up from the matrix. What was that? What was that moment? Share with us what that moment was. And then you jumped into a system. You found the system. You found the opportunity. You found the program. You found the vehicle. You found the products. What was it? Name it. Tell the people what you found. What is it called? Then others did it too. So others used it and got consistent results. This gives you third-party credibility. It shows social proof. It shows people that they're not alone, that you are not trying to sell this or get something out of your garage and trying to flog it off. Other people are doing it too, which means it's okay for everyone else to do it because other people are doing it. And everyone loves to be part of something. Everyone loves to be part of something. All right, we crave community. We want to be part of where everyone else is, where the party's at. All right, we don't have FOMO either. So we don't want to miss out if everyone else is getting it and you're not. You're missing out over here. And we create some urgency. We create some scarcity inside of that. And then you can succeed. Now I want you to have the same success that I've felt. I want you to get out of the system. I want out of the rut that you're in at the moment. I was there too. And I shared with that story structure. I show you that I was there too. I know exactly what it feels like to be where you are. And if you can, inside this story, if you can have sharing your story, by sharing your story, and people say these sort of things to you, that sounds like my life. Are you looking through my window? That, you know what, when you were explaining that, I could see my life flash before me because it was like you were talking exactly to me. If you have that, you have the winning story to that customer. You have won the game of the story. You have gotten around their defenses and you have basically put them into their reality. You are the craftsman when it comes to being a great storyteller. So use this structure in everything that you do from now moving forward. Every time you get an opportunity to share your story, every single time you get to be on a three-way call, every single time you get to be on a opportunity presentation, or every time you're at a workshop or an in-home presentation, every single time you go Facebook Live, you start with your story. Share the story over and over again. It's because it's in the story that breaks down the defenses and puts people into a state of influence and rapport. The second story is the what do you do story. You're in an elevator with a prospect and they ask you what you do. Now, before we go any further, guilty as charged. I don't know, I've had so many opportunities to have this one and I fumble through it to this day. Every now and again it's like, oh my gosh, I walk away from that and go, what the hell was that? Even Sammy sometimes has to pull me up and go smack me around the face and go, oi, she doesn't literally smack me around the face, but you know, theoretically speaking, she's like, what was that? That sounded like absolute garbage. So let's create a bit of a structure around this, because if I'm struggling and you're struggling, and chances are there's going to be a majority of us that are going to be like, I don't know what I do. What do I do? I don't know. Do I talk about the company? Do I talk about the products? Do I talk about, what is it that I do? So here's some structure around that to help you. So what do you do? So professional networking isn't being pushy. It's not being about getting people, right? We're letting people discover it for themselves. But it's about communicating exactly what the prospect wants. So here again, remember what I said. You have to understand who you are talking to. You have to, when you can define your market, when you can understand who that person is, you know where they hang out, you know what their fears and frustrations are, you know what they're up against, you know what they want. They have language, they have a certain speech. Different people who have different, if you're talking to a vegan or a plant-based person, they speak differently to someone who's about protein and athletic performance and gaining the edge. And then you have someone who's a yoga person. They speak differently to someone who's a HIIT fanatic, who's high intensity interval training. And so you have all these different languages. And I'm not talking about crazy language. I'm just talking about different ways of thinking. And if you can identify that and actually start to communicate inside of those networks, you are going to be relatable, you are going to be trusted, you are going to become credible, and you are going to be someone who they would like to do business with. Your communication should hone in like a laser, on fulfilling the selfish need of the other person, not your own. The selfish need of the other person. Just like you watching this session now, you are all about what's in it for you. 95% of the time, that's how we run our life. What is this going to do for me? Is this right? Is this wrong? Do I believe it? Do I not believe it? Is this going to help me out? Is this going to put me in danger? Can I trust you? Are you a trustworthy person? All this information is coming in whilst we're in a conversation. Even when we're walking past someone, it's almost like, can I trust you? Is this person going to kill me? Is this person going to jump on me? Is this person going to, all this data is going on inside of our heads. So we need to tap into that and be all about that person. We need to be focusing on the selfish need of the other person. Focus on their emotional needs and their desired results. Use high emotion value words and put it into a clear, crisp statement. The what do you do story formula. So here's some more framework. And again, remember, it's just a framework. Don't get hung up on being able to hit the right words. But if you stick to the steps, master it, spend some time on it, then you'll get better at it. Remember, this is not about perfection. This is about progression. This is about courage, and then confidence comes. Being able to just sit in the moment and think about, right, if I'm ever in this situation, and sometimes you don't get this, this opportunity to sit in elevators and, do whatever, but you are in passing with people a lot of the time. And this question comes up pretty much, it's the second or third question that we ask majority of people. So what is it that you do? When you're in a social environment, you're meeting someone for the first time, or you're standing around in circles, or you're meeting friends of friends. First of all, it's what's your name? Great. Where do you live, or somewhere like that? And then usually it's, well, what do you do? That's how we define people. That's how we sort of we get to think about whether they're good people, they're bad people, they're trustworthy people, they're credible people, they're experts. We decipher and we decide based upon that question. So what is it that you do? So here's the framework. I help. So who is the person? Again, remember, vegan, yoga, athlete, pro athletes, high stressed out professionals. I work with mums, I work with dads, I work with FIFO workers, I work with parents, I work with couples. What is the actual identity of the person? Who? Describe their problem. I work with higher quality athletes who want to gain 20% improvement on their recovery time. I work with CrossFit athletes who want to become lighter on the bar, maintain their muscle mass and be able to recover quicker so they're able to work out more often. I work with stay-at-home mums who are looking for a way to regain their financial situation, or wanting to create a new identity other than just being a mum. I'm working with couples who are looking for a way out. I mean, what is it? Who is it? Describe their problem. Their problem. Get or achieve. Describe the specific measurable result that you help your prospect get in their life. Become debt-free. Ease financial stress. Be able to contribute to the family again. To be able to ease the pressure of their partner who's at work. Be able to cover the payments on a monthly basis. Be able to lose weight. Be able to get healthy again. Be able to reclaim the body that they deserve. What is it that you do? What is that specific thing that you do? What is it? And what do you help them achieve? What is the things that you ultimately... I set dreams on fire. I help people be able to dream again, to be able to see again, to be able to live again. I help people get and achieve financial independence within a specific amount of time. How easy, convenient, or fast will your results happen? Within the next 90 days, within the next year, within the next 12 weeks, within the next 16 weeks, within the next 30 days, within weeks, instantly, effortlessly, quickly, easily. Do you know anyone who would want to summarize all that? Summarize it. Okay, so I help who, describe their problem, get or achieve, describe the specific measurable result, then describe how easy it is. Do you know anyone who would want to do that? So I'll give you two examples, and I do not want you to get stuck on the examples. I just want you to show you how we can sort of weave those simple things in. Example, I help overweight women who want to lose more than 10 kilos, get rid of their extra fat in as little as 90 days, without starvation diets or torturing themselves with military exercise. Do you know any women who would want to lose more than 10 kilos quickly? Now, are you talking to a man in this instance? No. If your target market is women, especially overweight women, this would be how you insert that. If I was talking about, I help men. I help stressed out men. I help stressed out business people. You can see how we just insert the language. I help who? Do you know anyone who wants? I helped overworked professionals, burnt out professionals, stressed out professionals, high achiever professionals, CEOs, $1 million professionals, whatever, who are under financial stress, time stress, who don't have any time. Anything that you want to do, insert this. Create an extra stream of income that could eliminate financial stress in just 3 short years. Just 3 short years. In the next 12 months, in the next 90 days, in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years. Do you know anyone who's looking for a way to earn extra income and who would like to ease the financial pressure? You can see how this works in the what do you do story formula. So they are 2 examples for you. Session 4, action steps. This is all about the action. There's not much time that we want to spend on the story because it's all about you developing it, working it, defining it, working through it, creating it. This is the creative process for you. You need to know who you're working with. You need to know. So you look at your list now. Your list should be a good indication of who you work with. You probably attract who you are. So chances are you would know highly emotive conversations that you have inside of your head. Get them into this. Be defining, deepen that emotional stress, those emotional frustrations, the things that you crave, the things that you are thinking about on a daily basis. Chances are the person who you're talking to is going to have similar things that are going on for them. Brainstorm your target market. Now you may have more than one, but essentially you seem to attract the same people. Sammy and I seem to attract couples. Not saying that we don't attract single people, but we just seem to sort of work a lot with 2 people. There seems to be a lot of people that we work together with, husband and wife, partner and partner, whatever it is. That just seems to be our gig. However, You may have something different. You may be working with mums. You may be working with dads. You may be working with FIFO workers. You may be working with burnout professionals. You may be working with millennials. You may be working with plant-based humans. I don't know what it is, but you can brainstorm this. What I would do is I would just throw out everything that I would be thinking of onto a sheet of paper, and then I would define it. I would sort of start working through it and go, do I really talk with high-end athletes? I mean, do I really? Sammy and we don't work with high-end athletes, and not saying that we don't, not that we wouldn't. It's just, it doesn't seem to be like the majority of our conversations. I'm not hanging around in the Commonwealth Games athlete village talking to people day in, day out about it. Next, write a list of emotional drivers that your prospect has. So once you define this target market, once you define this person, then you can start working about all their fears and frustrations. What do they like? What do they lie awake at night thinking about? What do they think about getting up early in the morning? What are they talking about? Where are their gaps? Where are they missing their life? Some things they could be totally championing, but some people they could be exposed to victimism and their shortfalls. That's where you want to enter the conversation, because I guarantee you that's what they're thinking about the most, is all their inadequacies. Identify times in your life where these drivers were evident. So if someone was stressed out at night, remember the time where you were stressed out at night. What were you thinking about? That's where you enter that conversation. That's where you can start from. That's where you enter that conversation. Well, remember, start at where the customer is. Then you write your conversion story using the elements to success. You have the framework there. Write it out. Take some time. Be okay with having a rough draft. You can't get it done all at once. You're not going to get it right at the from the word go. Some of you will be good. Some of you need to get better. Some of you need to become more powerful in the conversation, in just choosing the right language. Once you choose the right language, you can pierce through so much haziness and grey areas and hit people right in the heart, hit people right between the eyes. Okay, that's how much time and energy that you need to spend on these stories, because as you can see, this is your most valuable asset. And chances are you've been trying the same story and not getting the same results. It's time to freshen up. It's time to restart. It's time to reboot the story. Share your story with your support hub and ask for feedback. Throw it on the Facebook on the page. Share your story. Get it on video. Put it down on video. Share your story with your support hub. Call them up. You've got an accountability partner. You're upline, downline, crossline, wherever. Someone who's going to listen to you and say, let's work on our stories together. I need honest feedback. I need honest feedback. Give me feedback. If someone says, oh, it sounds great, say, you are lying. You didn't listen. You are lying to me. Challenge me. I need you to challenge me. Does it really hit any nerves for you? Does it hit any nerves? Is it a bit weak in some areas? What can I get rid of? Delete what you don't need so it becomes more powerful. Write down your what do you do story using the formula. Just write one down and again, try it out. Try it out. See what works. Feel it. Be willing to throw things out. Be willing to put things in. But again, once you have a sense of who your sort of target market is, chances are that's where your networks are going to be. Chances are that's who you're hanging around with every single day. In which case, you need to be loaded. You need to be loaded, ready to go. At 3 o'clock in the morning, someone comes up to you, because usually that's what, it doesn't really happen at 3 a.m., but it happens very quickly. And before you know it, you're like, oh my gosh, I just had that question asked. And before I knew it, it was blubber and mess. You need to have strength in this. You need to flex this muscle. This is one of your bicep curls that you need to do every single day in order to build this muscle. Share it with your support hub and ask for feedback again. Okay? This is about action-oriented work now. This is about developing a story. Sammy and I are just excited to hear and watch you grow and transform. Watch your language become your powerhouse. Watch you become this network marketing connoisseur, this absolute gun. You will become the expert. People will be like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing, but your posture, your confidence, the way that you speak, it was like you were speaking directly at me. Like it was like, oh my gosh, do you know my ins and outs? It's like, yes, because I've done all my homework prior to actually having this conversation, so I know exactly who I'm talking to. Session 4, developing your story. Go forth and conquer. Cannot wait to see your videos. Thank you so much. Check you out in the next video.